Hi, friends. It says I'm live. I'm getting kind of a weird message from them about my internet speed. So I'm hoping that all will be okay once we get going. It says I'm live. Hold on. Kind of a weird message from. Let's get that turned off so we're not repeating ourselves. I'm going to go ahead and get this all pulled up on my phone as well. So here is hoping that all is okay as we get going with today's live. Well, hi friends. My name is Leah Lawson and I am excited to be here with you guys today. It's been a little bit since I've been live. I had a real busy week last week, so I didn't have I wasn't able to do a live last week. So I am excited to hang out with you guys today for the next hour. I think Heather just popped on. She is the person typing behind the Pinkfresh name. So, oh, thank you. My Montana Vibe shirt. So I love this shirt. I love Montana, of course. So we just got done with our final Create and Connect virtual event for this year. This past weekend, it was our holiday cards workshop. We had a great time with everyone that joined us. They created tons of fantastic projects with us. We're loving seeing everybody's projects. I know quite a few people are also posting them on social media. So if you're seeing some Pinkfresh Studio cards with products you don't recognize, that is because those products were part of our Create and Connect holiday weekend. Oh, thank you guys. I'm glad you guys had so much fun. That is awesome to hear. All right, before we get this camera flipped around and we get going, let's go over a couple things. First off, we would love it if you guys could give this video a thumbs up. That just helps the reach currently. And also upon replay, so it hopefully will find its way to other card makers and crafters. And then we give away a $15 gift card code at the end of every live. And all that you have to do to be eligible for that prize is continuing what you're doing, hanging out in the chat, chatting with me, with Heather, with your fellow viewers. And every time you comment, that adds as an entry. Now you can also get an extra entry by hitting the share button. There's a little arrow with the word share next to it. Click that and you can share it a few different ways. You can share it to your Facebook page. You could share it if you have like a crafty email, you could share the link. You can share it in a crafty Facebook group as long as it's okay. There are some that don't like that, so make sure you follow the group rules. Come back here, let us know you shared, and that's just another entry. All right, well, we are about 5 minutes in. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and transition over to my desktop camera. So bear with me while we do that, and then we will get going. I am waiting for my hot foil system to finish heating up. But while we're doing that, I could probably go over all of the products that we're going to use today. And I realized I totally forgot to pull out the hot foil sentiments we're going to use. So when I transition to my desktop, I'll have something on my screen, but you're going to have to bear with me while I go grab it. Okay, there's that. All right, so I'm just going to leave this here for now. And I will be right back while I grab my hot foil sentiment set real quick. All right, so here is a little look at the different products we're going to use today while I'm waiting for my foil machine to heat up. So we are going to use the Inky Floral Background cling stamp along with the coordinating layering stencils, which in the end looks like this when all is said and done. And then I am going to hot foil a couple of sentiments. Well, I'm going to hot foil the whole thing so we get quite a few sentiments in total. This is our modern script sentiments set. And while I'm going to be using the hot foil and die, there is a coordinating stamp set for all of our friends out there that don't currently hot foil yet. We didn't leave you out. There is a stamp set that coordinates with the one-piece die as well. And then I'm going to accent a little bit with our Curvy Leaves die set as well. So these are the main products I'm going to use on my cards today. So I just saw that the little light ticked on. So let me switch my desk around real quick. We're hot foiling and we will get going. All right, so here is our hot foil system. So let's go ahead and grab the Modern Script Sentiments hot foil plate, and we're going to get it on here and we're going to hit the button. And so if you're new to foiling at all, what I'm doing is I'm just heating this up so that it's ready to hot foil when all is said and done. So I think I'm going to use just standard gold foil today. I'm wanting more of that kind of yellowy gold to coordinate with the embossing powder that I'm going to use. So while this is heating up, sorry, I don't have a whole lot of desk space, so I kind of have to juggle things around as I create. So let's go ahead and cut a piece of foil. I think about 6 inches is long enough for that guy. It sure is. All right, so we've got our foil cut. So once our foils the light clicks off or stops blinking, we will be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and get my platinum up here as well and start getting everything ready to do the foiling sandwich. All right, so the light has turned off. And so we are good to go. So one thing that I always do before I start laying my sandwiches down is I remove the platform from the base. Not everyone does it this way. This is my preferred preference because I feel like sometimes I get like a haloing from the product shifting. So I'm going to remove the platform from the base, and then we're going to put the foil pretty side down. We're going to add our cardstock. This is 100-pound hammer mill cardstock, which I know is hard to find. And then the 2 shims that come with the Glimmer hot foil system. And I am just going to slowly run this through my Platinum 6. And I apologize if you can hear my Cocker Spaniel. She's being a little barky right now. There must be somebody walking past our front windows. Now, I don't typically run just standard foiling through twice or back and forth. I just do it the once because I just have never felt that my system needed that at all. So let's see how we did, and our results are like absolutely perfect. The gold foil, it's a workhorse, guys. Isn't that just stunning? All right, so since we're here, I am going to go ahead and take this off, and we're going to go ahead and solid foil this as well. So give me 1 second while I transition my desk around here. So I do typically need my solid plate to heat up twice. So while we're waiting for that to happen, I'm actually going to go ahead and cut out the first set of sentiments while we're waiting. Now you may wonder why I chose to put the hot plate on my glass mat versus the little mat that it comes with. So Heather and I have found that, like, as you can see, I can actually already physically touch it. Heather and I have found if you put your hot foil plates down onto your glass mat, it disperses that heat much quicker, and it allows them to, they cool quicker. So then you can use them again or put them away, whatever you want to do. So I am going to go ahead and get this on camera. And I'm going to go ahead and get the one-piece die lined up with all of these sentiments. We love our one-piece dies because you basically have to tape down one die and you cut out all of the sentiments. But we do always suggest that you take a little bit of time to get those aligned properly, just because it is a bigger die. So, and that will just make it so everything stays nice and straight. All right, so you'll notice that my timer button turned off, but I like my solid hot foil plate to heat up twice. So I'm going to remove the platform from the base and basically just restart the process. The platform ready light will come on momentarily. And I'm going to realign this die one more time because I feel like it just got a little off there. And then I'm going to hit the timer button for a second time. I am not completely sure which sentiment option I am going to use today. So I like having both options, the standard foiled and the reverse foiled. I like having both options because sometimes it's nice to compare and see which one you think looks best. I'm going to go ahead and die cut these real quick while we're finishing up heating up our solid plate. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. I just thought my die cut machine might have died, but it didn't die. It the little plug came out a little bit. Oh, hi for everyone that's just joining us. No worries on being late. I'm really just getting started. I just started the foiling process. I haven't even gotten into any stamping or ink blending or anything of the sort. So then we have all of the sentiment options. I'm going to go ahead. I know the solid plate is hot enough now. I'm going to go ahead and just get these all popped out first so that I have all of the options available. And I don't have to worry about doing this. I'll do the little inner pieces later. Oh, aren't they? I love these sentiments, Sherry. I love the font. I think they're super fun font. And they're just they're modern and elegant together. Okay. So we are good to go ahead and do the solid foiling now. So same as before, I'm going to remove the platform from the base. I'm going to put the foil pretty side down so that all of those sentiments are covered on the plate. And then I'm going to add the cardstock. And then I'm going to add my 2 shims that come with my machine. Now, the only thing that I do different when I'm using the solid plate is I still run it through my platinum machine, kind of, you know, slow and steady. But once I get to the end of the solid plate, I do reverse it back and I run it through backwards. There's no real risk of haloing the piece that you solid foil. So I'm not worried about that. And then I just feel like that the solid or the reverse foiling just does well having that little bit of extra pressure. So I'm going to just do a quick check. I always check in the corner. And if it's a little fuzzy, then I would just go ahead and put this back and do the process all over again. I don't have any fuzziness, so I am good to remove the release paper. And now we have the solid version of this. So I turned my foil machine off because I don't need it any longer. We are going to go ahead and remove the solid plate and get it down on my glass mat to cool. And I'm going to go ahead and just move the foil system off my desk and out of the way because I don't need it any longer. Ouch, just kind of burnt my finger a little. And then while we're here, let's just go ahead and finish up the die cutting so that we have all of the sentiment cutting finished. We are certainly addicted to hot foiling at Pinkfresh Studio. We love, love, love it, especially when you basically don't waste any foil when you combine it with our solid plate. And I just always love to see how they look standard foiled and how they look solid foiled. It's always such a treat. And it looks like Colleen is new to card making. So welcome. We're so happy that you found our little crafty world, and we hope that you're enjoying it so far. All right. Let's get this guy lined up, and we'll get these cut out, and we will have all of our sentiments finished or ready to pick from. Right. I'm going to remove the tape here, and then the die. All right, and let's see how awesome these turned out. So let me find the coordinating one for this guy. I'll poke out all the little chads later, but I just want to show how awesome these are. I love the white outline with the gold foiling, but I also love the reverse that the reverse foiling does. So such a fun way to basically get 2 for 1 sentiments in a way, I guess. Right? Yes, thank you for counting those. I now have 16 card sentiments that I did not have just 10 minutes ago. So 10 minutes, I have 16 sentiments to put on cards. Now that is definitely bulk creating right there. I have no idea which ones I'm going to use, so I'm going to go ahead for now so I don't lose any of them. I'm just going to toss them in a little bowl. We'll look at them a little bit later when we go to put our cards together. So I'm just going to set them aside for now. So I am going to do just a little bit of cleanup before we start stamping. This guy is cool enough. I can go ahead and put him away. I think the solid plate still needs a little bit of time. So we're just going to leave it there. But I'm going to go ahead and grab my Misty stamping platform, and I'm going to get it ready for a cling stamp. So when you are using a cling stamp in your Misty stamping platform, you want to get rid of the foam pad. But I do know that just based on the way that I stamp, I need a little bit of extra pressure. So I just use some Misty paper and just a few pieces, kind of as a shim, I guess. And then I like to stamp on an entire panel of white cardstock. You could always do this a little bit more frugally if you want to, but I just like to be able to place my magnets and have room to stamp. So I am going to grab the Inky Floral Background cling stamp now. We're going to go ahead and adhere it down to the middle. So as you can see, I have room for my magnets to be placed. I know that my paper is going to stay in place because I know I'm going to want to stamp this a couple times. And of course, when all is said and done, you can always use those top areas for stamping sentiments too, all of that kind of stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and get this going. So I'm going to heat emboss today. So first things first, let's prep our cardstock with an anti-static powder tool. And this will just help make sure that the embossing powder only sticks to where I stamp. Then I'm going to ink my stamp up with some embossing ink. And I'm probably going to stamp it 2 or 3 times just to make sure that I get a good stamp impression. I know myself, and I know that I'm a little bit of a light stamper. So, and I also feel that when you apply the anti-static powder tool, that it kind of dries your paper out too. So it kind of sucks that ink in a little bit more with that on there. Okay, so a couple more times. So I think people were asking how I store all of the additional sentiments, because obviously I'm not making 16 cards. So I have a little holder thing. It's like, I think it's more of like a photo storage holder. And I just put them in little tiny plastic envelopes and just add them for safekeeping in that little tote or storage piece until I'm ready to use them again. All right, I think that should probably be sufficient for my stamp impression. This is probably a little overkill, but you know, just making sure. And I'm using our fantastic stamping press tool. We love this guy. And yeah, that impression looks great. So we are good to go on that. I'm gonna go ahead and get this piece out. I'll clean my stamp off a little bit later. I'm not too worried about embossing ink being on it until after the live. And today, I know that I typically use Notice Monroe Gilded, but today I thought I would use the Gold Pearl embossing powder from Wow. It's a really pretty tone and I really like it. So I thought it would look really lovely with this image. So I'm just gonna shake it over this image to start, just half of it. That looks really nice. Go ahead and add this back in and let's do the other half. Dina, I don't have time to do the stamped version of this set today with everything else I have to do for the card. So I'm not going to be able to do that for you today, but it doesn't look a whole lot different. It's just, you don't get the letterpress style foiling, whether either you would stamp it in ink or you could heat emboss it as well. But I don't know that I'm going to be able to get to stamping the sentiment and be able to keep time with everything. And I unfortunately do have an appointment that I have to make today, so I can't really go too much over in time. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and heat set this. Now, sometimes, most of the time Zoom mutes it. Sometimes Heather found the other day it didn't. So hopefully it doesn't sound weird, but if it does, it's just because of that. The name of this embossing powder is Gold Pearl by Wow. So I don't think that webcam white balance does very good justice to embossing powders, but it's just this lovely, very pearlescent gold. It's got probably more of a little bit of a yellow tone to it. It's just lovely. So I'm going to just let this kind of cool off for a minute, try to bend it a little bit back into place. Heat embossing always warps your paper a little bit, but I'm not too terribly worried about that. I do need to wipe my desk a little bit just because I have a little bit of stray embossing powder that drives me crazy. So I want to take care of that before I get going on ink blending. All right, so gotta find my tapes here. Here we go. All right, so I like to tape my panels down to my glass mat when I'm ink blending. That is my preference. Make sure that this is cool enough that I won't smear those. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this down to my mat. Oh, I should make sure that I have it the right way. So let me grab the stencils real quick and make sure. I sure do. Okay, perfect. Sometimes I get things turned around, and so then I want to make sure the stencils are the right side up. So, all right, so this is going to be a very kind of light pastel-y card. So we're going to start with the stencils. This is a 4-piece stencil set. We are basically coloring in the different florals, and then the greenery really pretty much just remains that gold color. So I'm going to start with stencil number 1. I think we got some glare there. So I want to mention there are alignment guides in each corner, but when you're using the stencils with a stamped or a foiled image, or heat embossed, this is technically stamped, but you don't use those alignment guides. So you will instead just align the stencil layers to the stamped image. This one's a pretty easy set to align. I'm just aligning this larger flower in the lower left corner, and then the flower over here in the right corner, and then just making small adjustments for the rest of the image. And then I'm going to go ahead and tape it down into place. So that's wonderful to hear. I'm glad you're enjoying your glass mat. It's a good one. All right, so for layer number 1, we're going to use Coral Reef. And the way that I am going to ink blend these is I am going to first just start by getting a good base layer on there, on each flower. Oh, I'm glad you guys are loving these flowers. I think they're super pretty. Such a whimsical floral set. I love it. So we're starting out by just getting, oops, I guess I got to get these little tykes in here too, don't I? And then I'm going to switch over to a smaller brush. And I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit more detail, mostly in the centers. And this technique really does work best when you heat emboss, because I am relying on the raised embossed lines to allow the ink to pool. So you wouldn't probably get the same results on just a standard stamped image. So I am really heavily relying on the brush and the ink kind of hitting the sides of that embossing and kind of pooling, I guess. It's like the best word I can come up with for that. All right, so that is stencil number 1. And look at how lovely those are. All right, so we are moving on to, let me find my glare. Stencil number 2, same as before. We're just finding the flowers to line up with here. Okay, let's go ahead and tape this guy down. We are going to switch colors to Apricot. I got to switch my brushes out real quick. I'm going to do just a quick clean on my orange brush to make sure there's not anything super dark in it. I think we're good. All right. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did. I'm going to use the bigger brush just to get the start of the apricot color flowers. I am probably using pretty light pressure on this first layer because I want to then be able to go in with a smaller brush and do the same thing as I did on the first one and just deepen some of the layers by relying on that embossing to pool some of the apricot ink in there. I know some people are mentioning the small blending brushes that we included. They were part of our, they were our swag piece in our Create and Connect event. I didn't hear back from the boss in time to see if it would be okay to use them in today's live, so I chose not to. But if you're seeing them in attendees photos and such, we did debut our small blending brushes and we will sell them at a later date. I just don't know the exact date yet. All right, so we are moving on to stencil number 3. And we are going to line it up with the flowers. All right. And for this layer, we are switching over to Lemon Drop. I'm just going to clean my orange brushes real quick. I like to put them away at least a little bit clean so that the next time I use them, I grab them, they're not full of a real dark tone of ink. Oh, hi, Jessica. So happy you found card making. All right, so same as the other stencils, doing the same thing, using my big brush to get the initial color base down. Trying to have a pretty light hand. Yellows can get bright real fast, so I'm being real diligent about having a light hand on the yellows. All right, so then I'm going to go ahead, grab a small brush, do the same thing. I'm going to really focus on getting some details in where the brush hits the embossing. That one got a little wild, but that's okay. These are a little smaller, so they're a little bit harder to regulate than those bigger blooms. All right, we have one stencil left, but look at how fun that is coming together here. All right, so one stencil, final stencil number 4. It's the last layer of blooms. Just a couple of flowers left over on this guy to add in. So we're going to go back to a pinky tone. We're going to use Ballet Slipper, which is our lightest shade of pink. Just do a quick brush clean here on my yellow brushes. Okay. So final stencil. All right. Make sure there's no yellow. Okay, good. Ballet Slipper is super light, so I think you can be a little bit heavier handed actually with it. Really actually don't, it's habit to dab it off on my glass mat, but it's really not necessary much with Ballet Slipper since it's such a light color. I am going to try to do the details. These are pretty small flowers, so this may be all for naught, but we'll at least try to get a little bit of detail in there. Okay. Oops. So that was our final stencil, friends. So let's take a look at how fun that turned out. And then when you get the little bit of glimmer in there from the gold pearl, I just love it. There we go. Sorry, my comments turned off on my phone. I just happened to look up and saw they kind of timed out. All right, so I will clean my stencils off later a little bit more extensively. Just with, I keep a spray bottle of isopropyl alcohol at my desk and I will spritz them down a couple of times and finish cleaning them off a little bit later. So I know that I want to cut this down into a panel that fits inside of an A2 sized card. So I'm going to use our largest stitched rectangle. I'm just going to line it up so I know that all of the image will be within the within the stitched rectangle. Oh, thanks, friends. I'm glad you like the results. I do too. I think it's very very pretty results with these colors. And even though, I mean, these colors can really be used anytime, I'm really kind of feeling some fall vibes from this even. All right. So let's get this cut out. I'm not cutting it down too much, Catherine, so no worries. Although I am going to cut it in half here soon, so it'll be okay, I promise. All right, so now we have our panel. It's got that lovely stitched edge to it. And I think that is all the die cutting that I had to do today. I can set that aside and use it. I think we with the fact that we did all of the sentiment die cutting earlier, I think we're good. So this is where some people might cringe. I'm going to cut this guy in half because we're going to do a twofer here. And so what I am going to do is I am going to cut each side at 1 inch. And so my trusty little trimmer, I have a 1 inch and a 1 inch, so I know that I'm getting a nice even cut. And we're going to cut it in half like this. And we're going to make 2 cards out of 1. I like to do this with background stamps because you can absolutely keep backgrounds as is and they look beautiful, but I've already used this stamp set with that, with just keeping the background. So I want to try something different. And so cutting it in half and kind of creating a 2-for-1 just gives you another way to use these fun stamps. So at this point, we're pretty much ready to start assembling our cards. So first things first, I do need to grab a couple things. I did not get a chance to create my foam panel, so I'm going to just go ahead and do that here while we're live. As I mentioned, we're creating 2 cards. We're getting a twofer with this since I am cutting the panel in half. So I'm going to go ahead and create 2 of my full panels here. Okay. Now, if you preferred cards that have a little bit less dimension, that are a little bit easier or less expensive to send through the mail, you can create these with less dimension. Absolutely. Yes, we did do a twofer in my class over the weekend as well. So some people are getting flashbacks, probably what inspired me a little bit today, knowing that I was using a background stamp. I'm going to do it a little bit different though, so it's not going to look exactly the same. Okay, so there we have our 2 panels cut down. For reference, that was just white craft foam that you can get at pretty much any type of craft store. And then that was 5-inch score tape that I used for the adhesive. All right, so we can kind of start assembling our card a little bit. So first things first, I did cut 2 more panels of just standard white cardstock with our stitched rectangle, our largest stitched rectangle. And I'm going to go ahead and get these adhered down to our card fronts. And then these are just kind of peachy card bases. I don't know the cardstock brand. Sorry about that. I never know that because I organize everything by color and I don't really keep brand sheets. So I apologize. It's just kind of a peachy card base. And I am going to get the just the standard white stitched panels down first, and then we will work on everything else. Sorry, Colleen. All right. It could be. Heather, I'm not completely sure. But hey, even if it's not, if they have a color that matches close, that would be a perfect option. All right, so there we have our 2 card bases. So then we're going to flank each side with our lovely Inky Floral Background. But if you know me, I'm not going to stop there. So I pre-cut some of the curvy leaves. I pre-cut them from regular vellum, from this really lovely gold shimmery vellum, and then from some ivory colored glitter cardstock. Not completely sure which ones I'm going to use yet. So we're going to do that part together. But I am going to grab some foam dots, and I will want to pop up just the edge, the inner edge a little bit. So I'm just going to add some foam dots to pop that up. Okay, maybe I'll move that guy a little bit closer. 4 should be plenty. It also gives me a little room to tuck under any little leafy piece that I want to add as well. Dreamy leaves, aren't they dreamy? I agree. Okay. Get the last little pieces on there. Okay, I'm not going to remove the release paper yet because I want to plan out my curvy leaves. And I also want to pick my sentiments as well. So we'll do more assembling momentarily, but I do want to Cheryl, another thing I'm going to be terrible about. I've just had this gold vellum on hand for a long time. You may be able to find it on Amazon. I'm not completely sure on that. I acquired it somewhere. I don't know the brand, but it's really pretty. So once again, sorry, I'm not real good with that kind of stuff. I just have it and use it. So I'm thinking I kind of want these just to tuck in here a little bit to help maybe down a little further. This is where the fussy part starts happening, friends. That's okay. I don't mind things being a tad fussy, so that just a little bit of greenery is adding in. I do like the vellum on that. And then I think I'm going to probably stick with the standard foiled options for these cards. I like it, but I feel like the gold, the reverse foil is just a little too much for these card design. I think it's a little too dainty so I think I'm going to stick with the standard foil. So let me pull those all out real quick. I think I have them all, but let me just make sure. I am not going to use this one anyway, but I'll pull it out. Okay. So we have So Proud of You. You're the best. Cheers. I don't think I'm going to use Way to Go, so we'll just stick that up. Many thanks. You are on my mind. Best wishes. And yes, you can. I don't think I'm going to use that one either. So here we are. Created by Jackie. My ivory glitter paper is just the Recollections brand from Michaels. It's their glitter cardstock. We did find out this weekend that it is currently pretty much out of stock unless you can find it in store. But I'm sure they'll restock it here at some point. So I like Many Thanks. I also like Best Wishes. You know what? I kind of think that's the one. Those are the options I'm going to pick from. Many Thanks and Best Wishes. So let me go ahead and get any little additional chads poked out on these cards. Or cards, these sentiments. All right, there we go. So adhesive for vellum. There is tape runner that is meant for vellum that you can use. Oftentimes I find a way to add adhesive where I can tuck the vellum underneath something or something along those lines. So I think I might use the ivory glitter paper on this one. I might use even the same piece. It's a little more stuck out there. And just, it'll angle a little differently like that. Perfect. All right. I think I'm digging that. Yeah, sometimes glue dots can be hidden. I agree with, I think that was Sherry. So I do try to find ways to either hide the adhesive or something along those lines. Okay, so I feel like we are good to start adhering these down. So let me get my liquid glue. And I'm going to flip this over and see if there is anywhere that this can stick to. So I noticed here that this little leaf can stick right to that foam dot, and then it's going to stay in place. And that, let me make sure I still like it. Its placement, I sure do. So perfect. I've got that stuck onto some foam and it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue. This will allow me to have some wiggle room to make sure I get it nice and lined up. Then I can stick it down. And, ooh, careful, Leah. I did not align it very good in that corner, so I may need to lift. There we go. There we go. Better. Okay. And I like how this just kind of looks over the side there. Now, let's grab some really thin little foam strips and we're going to pop up our sentiments with a little bit of foam. I'm going to just stick these little pieces where I can. Right, maybe one here. Now these are just little unbranded foam strips that I get on Amazon. I think I searched for thin foam strips and found them. You get a ton of them in a pack, and I really like them. I've been using them forever. So then we're going to add our little sentiment up here in this corner. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish or get my other card going as well. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did. I'm going to see if anywhere this little guy can kind of stick to. I'm going to just do a tiny little adjustment so it will stick to that foam dot. We'll go ahead and add our liquid glue. And same as before. Just get it aligned to the background piece. These would be really lovely wedding cards. I agree. I don't think I have too many weddings in my future. So I guess but you know what? Best wishes absolutely would work for a wedding, I think. You could even add a little secondary sentiment that's a little bit more specific. Okay, let's go ahead and get some foam tape added to the other sentiment. That's awesome, Colleen. You could definitely do that. I feel like they're in pretty good place. I could always add a little bit of liquid glue here and there if I felt like I needed the leaves to stay down a little bit more. I may even just add a tiny dot of liquid glue behind this one, just because it is a little bit heavier weight paper. Okay, I think Jessica, I don't really sell my cards. I give them away. They sit in boxes. I donate them from time to time. So I know I don't really sell them, to be honest. I don't really have any venues for it, nor do I really have the time to. Okay. I'm just gonna get this guy tucked down here in the bottom. Okay. Oh goodness, hold on, I've got to find a tissue because my glue just kind of made a huge mess. I must have had a little air bubble in it that I didn't see. I'll have to clean it better when we're done here, but let's get that stop that from keep happening. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so last step, let's clear off some things here and let's do some little embellishments here and there. So I really do want to use our new glitter drops. I picked out a few colors that I thought would be best. So I've got the champagne and the gold here. I really like the champagne, but I think it's just not jiving so much with the gold colors that I picked, but the gold almost seems too gold. So we may switch to the pink, the blossom, or the blush. Not completely sure. I might actually take a few out and just do a little bit of testing here and see what I think. Let me see if I feel like this pink matches or not. Let's see, what do I think about this? Not so sure about that one. So let me look at Blossom. So these are still, the glitter drops are still a little new to us. So I'm still getting used to their shades a little bit. Let me see what I think about Blossom. Now I'm wondering if this is going to be too pinky, too dark pink. Actually, I don't mind that so much. Maybe just a couple little drops here and there. And I think I'm also going to throw in either a champagne or a gold here and there too. So let me find my other triangles, right? There it is. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Let me see. Champagne or gold? Let me look at the gold real quick. And let me see what I think. So let's do a little. Oh, you know what? I actually really like it. We're going to do gold. Okay, let's do a little trio, maybe up closer here. Well, now, of course, I'm kind of rethinking the gold. Let me look. I still have a couple minutes. We're good. Let me try the champagne real quick. Whew. So I'm actually going to take the gold off real quick. I may switch back to it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Let me see. Oh, yep. Champagne. Okay. I'm glad I checked it. Okay. The small ones take me a little bit to figure out the right side. There we go. Right. Kind of the third size on this one. Actually, I think I'm going to do this the opposite way here. There we go. And we'll just do one kind of. This is where we always get a little bit quiet because we are thinking and we're being a little fiddly with things. No, maybe the small one. Okay. You know what? I think I'm just going to leave that off in general. Okay. All right. I think I'm happy with that one. Okay. I got this on Amazon. I think if you just do dual end jewel picker or something along those lines, it should pull right up. Okay. Let's see. Ooh. So I think I'm going to do these trios a little closer to one another. There we go. Oops, that's the wrong way. Okay. There we go. Okay, I'm feeling good about these choices here. All right, let's go ahead and get these put away so that I don't get glitter drops everywhere. Okay. I can move those scissors. All right, hopefully I've fixed that little air bubble that was happening. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Thank you guys. I'm glad you love these. We're almost done. Super sorry about my dog. She is being very loud and opinionated today. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm happy with that. Candace, I really love the butterscotch glitter drops as well. They're fantastic. All right, well, there are our cards for today. Nice little two-for design. And hopefully you guys enjoyed watching them put them together. All right, I am going to flip the camera around. My dog got your kitty's attention. Of course she did, silly girl. All right, let me get the camera flipped back to me real quick. All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I enjoyed getting to hang out with you for the last hour. She maybe is trying to protect me, I guess. She might lick them to death if they came after me. So I had a lot of fun creating this set of cards today. Oh, Heather's right on the ball. So congratulations to Deb Schroeder. Hopefully I said that correctly. You are the winner of today's $15 gift card code. All you have to do is send an email to me. It's listed there in the message you're tagged on, but just in case, that's leah@pinkfreshstudio.com. There's no H on the end of my name, so just LEA@pinkfreshstudio.com, and give me about 2 to 3 business days to reply. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Heather will be live on Facebook this week, Thursday at 12 noon Central Time. So join us again for another card making live. And then I think that's our final live this week. We are working on hopefully having an episode of Craft Hour, but it will be towards the end of October this month. So we'll keep you guys informed about that as it gets a little closer and as we get that all worked out. So hopefully we'll see you on Thursday. And other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye.